Alright everyone, I have waited a little over a year to make this review. Now, these were relatively new to me over a year ago, and at first glance I felt that it was a gimmick because my whole life I've used whetstones to sharpen a knife. And this was the first time I used something so radically different. I mean, yeah, I've used different sharpening systems. You've seen me review a few here on the channel, but nothing this different. And I'm so glad I tried these out. Now, the first one I got, I already modified it up. I put a little heat shrink tubing around it just to make the handle a little bigger, and a lanyard here for the cap so I wouldn't lose it. You know, real simple. And this silly thing, I can't tell you how many knives I've sharpened and how many blades I've maintained with this in the past year. It's astronomical. But before I start getting too deep down that rabbit hole, let's take a look at these. This is the Speedy Sharp. This is the original, it says right there, the original. Right there, the original. This is the original sharpener. Hold on a second. I'm getting a little bit of glare off that. Let me shut that ring light down. There we go. This is the original patent holder for this idea, and it's made in the USA. Okay? World's fastest sharpener. You know, all that good stuff. Space age carbide edge. Peels the steel. Okay? And on the back, I'm going to slowly pan down here in case you want to read any of that. It's the basic instructions. And I have found, I'll show you how I use it here in a bit. I use it just a little bit differently, and I find that way works for me. Here is their direct competition, the Corona, and it is a carbide sharpener, just like the Speedy Sharp. This one is made in Taiwan, and it's a little cheaper. Okay. Has some real basic instructions here on the back. Corona mainly makes gardening tools, stuff like that. They show you sharpening a lopper there. Okay. Now, the Speedy Sharps, depending on the color and the seller and where you get it, range anywhere from $11 to $15. The Coronas, $9.99, 10 bucks. And the crazy thing is, I have found these in my local hardware store, the Coronas, but not the Speedy Sharp. Okay. Not only are these knife sharpeners, they have other uses that is pertinent to the outdoors. And I'm going to show you everything I can about these. These are so cool. Alright, so, but first, I want to show you this. I had to go high and low through drawers all over the place to find this silly little knife. It's a keychain little multi-tool. And this is the only blade I could find that I own that is not sharp. Okay? I have a piece of phone book paper here, and you see I'm ripping the paper. It's not sharp. It's not sharp at all. It's got burrs on it. It's a mess. Well, we're going to sharpen this with this one This is just a Corona one that I showed you a minute ago that I modified. Now, it's easy. Before I get started with this, let me explain something. There is a learning curve with this kind of sharpener. I did not pick it up right away, and at first I was getting a little irritated with it, but I kept at it. Now I can confidently say I can sharpen anything. I've sharpened kitchen knives, I've sharpened outdoor knives. I was over to a friend's house and I sharpened all their kitchen knives for them while we watched a movie. And it does an amazing job. Now I'm going to show you what's comfortable for me on how to use it. There's two basic cuts with this sharpener. Using it this way, let me make sure I got the terminology correct that they're saying here. Yeah, this is like a cutting, okay? When you turn it this way is honing. All right? This is pretty small. Let me open this up and move stuff around so I can get more on the edge of the blade. Okay, so this is what you do if the blade is dull, and it'll start peeling the steel quite literally, and you want to try to get your angle the same with what you have here. Okay, now I'm doing it with the blade edge facing my hand. They show it like this, facing away. For some reason, I just have a hard time getting the correct angle and getting a good sharp blade that way. But if I hold it like this and do it, for some reason I get the angle better. But that's just me. They probably don't want it facing you this way for safety reasons, and I get it. But, so we're going to do a few passes here, and you can feel the resistance on the blade. I'm not pushing that hard. I'm letting the carbide do the work. And if you look closely here, you see this right here? That is actual steel residue on the carbide. That dark, I'm going to take it off with my thumb. That dark line on my thumb right there is steel residue. Okay. I think I'm getting the burr off of here. Yeah, I can feel the difference. And I'm not pushing hard. If you push hard on a blade while you're doing this, you're gonna gouge it, you're gonna screw up. And like I said, there's a learning curve here. It took me a while to get the hang of this. Alright. Starting to feel a little different. Oh yeah, starting to, ooh, yeah, we're starting to get an edge there. Now I'm going to do a pass on each side and keep turning it. Yeah. It's really hard for me to articulate what this feels like. Okay, now I'm going to do honing passes. And it's just the opposites, like this, and it's a different feel too. The cutting pass, you really feel it when you're hitting spots where there's a burr or something, and you're taking that off. Now I'm honing. All right. Well, there is an edge there. Let's see if we can cut some paper now. It wants to cut, except I think I need to hone that just a little bit more. The larger a blade is, the easier it is to work with this too. This little blade is challenging. Not impossible, just challenging. And when you're honing, you'll feel any rough spots you're hitting. Oh yeah. Okay. Once again with the paper. Oh. I still got some rough spots on that blade. That blade was never done properly to begin with from the factory. I feel some rough spots right there. It's definitely sharper right here at the belly than it is anywhere else. See, the first time you sharpen a knife this way, like a dull knife like this, it takes a little bit of time. I found that the best thing with this is maintaining an edge, and I've been carrying one, like I said, for over a year. And I've just gotten into the habit, when I use a knife, I whip this out and I hone that edge, and it's been keeping my knives really sharp. Super useful. Now, let's try this again. Oops, bumping into stuff. Okay, yeah, it cut that. Not the best cut, but it definitely is sharper than it was, because it's cutting now. Before it was just ripping. Okay, so I put what I'd call a working edge on there. If I kept at it, honing and working with this, give it another good, 5-10 minutes, I could probably get this up like a razor. No lie. I find, like, my pocket knife here, the ST-101, I find that if I use it and I pull this out, and I just hone that blade, just a few times, and it just brings that razor edge right back up to where you got no problem, In a previous review video, I reviewed the Sativan 121 D2 steel blade, and I was having some issues cutting paper. And looking back on my footage and thinking about it, I was having trouble starting the cut right in this area. Well, we're going to use our sharpener here, and we're going to hone this up, and then we're going to cut some paper. Oh yeah, I can feel there's definitely a micro burr going on there, right in this area. It's funny, you really need to use one of these sharpeners for a while and get used to it, but once you're used to it, you'd be surprised at how well they work. I know I was. You're talking to a guy that for over 20 years all he ever used was stones. And this thing has been an eye-opener. Okay. I'm definitely feeling a difference. It's weird. You'll feel a resistance. Alright, let's try a little bit of paper, see what happens. Oh, yeah, that's a lot different. But I'm still getting some resistance right there. So, yeah, I can feel it when I go along here. There's definitely like a micro burr. I'm just going to work that edge. I mean, it's sharp, don't get me wrong, but right now, let me just hit this real lightly, see if I can clean that up. I can feel it. Yep, okay. Because I have found with other blades, I'll sit down in a chair and I'll just work it like this for a while. And I will get that thing very, very sharp. And I'm not putting a lot of force on here, because it's already sharp. I don't want to dull it. I'm just trying to refine that wire edge just right. Okay. Let us try again. Ah, man. I'm so close to having it exactly the way I want it. It's cutting though. That's cutting, that's not ripping, but it's right here in the belly. Or I'm not the belly, I mean the beginning of the edge right here that I'm having my issue with. So I'm going to go ahead, shut off the camera, and get more a comfortable seating arrangement instead of working around the camera like this. And I'm going to work this with the tool here for a while until I get it exactly the way I want it. I'll bring you back and I'll show you the results. I honed it with the tool here. We're going to do some paper cutting now. Did about 5-10 minutes or so. And now there's no hesitation. This spot here is nice and sharp. So we've got a very nice. So I'm going to try to articulate how this works for me. When I'm going along here on the edge, I'm feeling the resistance. And right now there's no resistance. It's like glass on glass. But in the beginning, I kept hitting resistance here and out here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm off camera. I kept hitting resistance here and right about here. And that was probably a micro burr that I couldn't see, but I could feel it when I was going along here. I mean, listen to this. There's no resistance now. It's like glass on glass, and it's very sharp. I mean, just that little bit of work honing took this right up to the next level of sharpness. The only way I think you could get this any sharper is to work with a leather strop. But look at that. That's a cut. That is not a rip. So, alright. Let's see what else we can do with this fun tool. Another thing you can do with these carbide sharpeners, magnesium. We can make some really nice magnesium curls. Carbide sharpener also makes a great striker for a ferro rod. Here's our pile of shavings. And just like that, we can get a fire started. Pretty cool. Final thoughts, pros and cons time. As I said in the beginning of this video, I've been using these for a long time. I got past that learning curve. So the learning curve, depending on, I don't know, the individual, because I think it really does boil down to the individual, the user. Your learning curve could be long or your learning curve could be short. My learning curve was a little long, simply because this is such a different sharpener than I've ever used. But once you have that technique down, it's almost like breathing, how quickly you can sharpen something up. And if you've got a sharp knife already, just maintaining it, it's awesome. It's compact, it doesn't weigh a lot. As you see, it has other uses in a bushcraft, camping, hiking type field. To me, it's a win all the way across. Relatively inexpensive compared for, what it is. But I would say the biggest con is that learning curve, because when I was looking at these, when I found out about them, I was looking at them, I read a ton of reviews, and there's a lot of negative reviews out there. And a lot of these negative reviews go something like this: I totally ruined my knife using this. This is horrible. And the only thing I could think of was, how hard was he pushing down with this when he was trying to sharpen a blade? Because if you push down with this really hard, you're going to gouge your blade, you're going to damage your blade. It doesn't take very much to sharpen or hone a blade. It's a light touch. I can't stress that enough. It's a light touch. You don't get aggressive with this. It's a light touch. Same thing when you're cutting instead, or sharpening instead of honing. See, all I had to do, I've been using this knife pretty regularly. All I had to do was a few passes to hone that, and it brings the edge right back up to like a razor. Now, sharpening a dull knife like we did in the beginning of this video, that takes a little bit of time to get that profile down and get how sharp it needs to be. But that's the biggest con, is learning how to use this. If you're the type of person that's gonna give up pretty quick, this isn't for you. Move on. Don't even try it. But then again, those same kind of people I've seen can't even use whetstones correctly. And they end up using, something like the Ryzen knife sharpener, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And, sharpening traditionally is not for everybody. But that's where my thoughts are. That's where I'm coming from. I think this is a great product, great idea. It works. You just have to learn how to use it. And it's not for everybody. But me, as you see, I've bought several. These are going in my bags, my kits, because I'm hooked. I'm definitely hooked. I'm not going to give up my stones, but taking this in the field with me, just for a quick sharpen and a maintaining, is exactly what I need. So, that's all I got to say on that. If you're interested, give it a try. But don't say I didn't warn you. So, until we meet again, I will see you later on out in those woods over there. Thank you for watching.